Don't worry about it. It's not like it's gonna kill me, right?
Alright, first order of business. None of these games are in English. That's right. We pulling out the Genki textbook for this one. So none of these games are in English except for one. There's barely any gameplay footage to even prove that these games even exist. And to make matters even worse, we don't got a lot of time to work with here because halfway through the story, the main character loses all of his powers. Are we halfway through the story? Will we ever get to see the end of Hunter x Hunter? I hope there's a new chapter this year. We're 20. By all means, please do not be stingy, Togashi. Hey, how you doing? Charizma here to once again talk about things and overthink things that most people do not really care about. Today we're doing Hunter x Hunter. Every video game in Hunter x Hunter, there's not a lot of video games. All of them are at least 20 years old, and none of them are good, apparently, based on what I'm seeing online about them. I mean, it should be fun, you know, talking about Hunter x Hunter is always fun. So yeah, again, no dreams. Nothing here can be a dream. Nothing here can be an alternate timeline. It must fit in the main canon. No excuses. Leave a like, leave a hype. I found out that that's something I should be promoting these days. If the intro sounds scatterbrained and this is your first time here, don't worry about it. That's just me. My fault. Glad to have you here though. Let's just get started. All right, so we kicking things off today with a good one. And by good, I mean kind of weird. This was a side scroller that came out back in the day for the Game Boy, where Gon, our boy Gon, best boy, he gets stranded on this random mysterious island and then goes on a quest to find this ancient forbidden treasure, the Kindan no Hihou. Hihou. I like that word. This game seems like it makes sense on the surface, but unfortunately, once you put even the slightest modicum of thought into it, everything starts to fall apart. Not really that long of a game. Basically just going exploring this entire island. You can play from like different perspectives as well. You know, the rest of the Hunter exam crew I'm talking about. Hisoka is there as well. And then the final battle is against this monster beast, a Nen beast perhaps, protecting the ancient mythical relic from being stolen by outsiders. This game isn't really that long. From Gon's perspective, it's kind of just pretty straightforward, just going to different parts of the island. It probably lasted like a day or two at most. This could go anywhere in the story, to be honest. Anywhere pre-Chimera arc, obviously, because you know, that's when Gon. Tragic. Pretty straightforward. That is until you notice in the opening cutscene of this game that Gon is on a boat by himself. Why is this a problem? Because him and Killua basically spend every waking moment of this series together after they meet in the Hunter exam. Literally, they are tied at the hip for most of the story. The only times I can ever remember them not being together, probably like right after the Hunter exam when Killua has to go back home and everybody has to go save him. Other than that, it would probably be like during the Chimera Ant invasion and, you know, after everything happens. But in this game, at the start, Gon is by himself, and he and Killua, they seem to coincidentally run into each other at one point during one of the levels of this game. Again, it's all in Japanese, so I'm kind of just going off of vibes right now. But yeah, no, so we can't ignore this though, because Gon and Killua are literally inseparable for most of the story. Like that's kind of their whole thing. They're friends, right? I was thinking maybe squeezing this in somewhere in that post-exam phase, you know, during that trip to the Zoldyck house. But the problem with that is that also in the opening cutscene of this game is a screenshot of Gon and Killua's Nen training. And also Zushi, he shows up in this game for some reason. I think he's looking for the treasure too. This all tells us that this game has to take place though, not just after the Zoldyck arc, but after the Heaven's Arena arc as well, which comes right after that. Already, this is where it gets really tricky, because after Heaven's Arena, that's when the York New City arc happens, and then all of the arcs kind of just bleed into one another. Like York New bleeds into Greed Island then bleeds into the Chimera Ants. The only possible time that this game could take place would have to be at some point between Heaven's Arena, and York New City. Togashi shooting me some bail here though, because luckily this is where, we do have quite a bit of downtime in the story. This is where Gon and Killua go back to Whale Island, and they basically, they spend the whole summer together. The question now is though, like, okay, but like where specifically does this game take place? Because, at some point Greed Island is like, that becomes a thing, and then they're kind of busy with that. So what's going on with that? Well, even more luckily for me, we got dates, boys. We got dates. Woo! We got dates. The big date for the whole York New City operation, as we all know, was September 1st. Cool. Put that to the side for now. Gon and Hisoka had their fight in Heaven's Arena on July 10th. That was the climax of that whole arc. The following day, that's when Gon goes home. He brings Killua with him. And then later on, at some point during the summer, vaguely during the summer, we don't know, but at some point after listening to Jean's message, Gon and Killua, they make a bet to see who can make the most money in a week to help go towards the purchase of a copy of Greed Island. The date that they agree on for that bet is August 31st, one day before it starts popping off in York New. After listening to Jean's message and both the anime and the manga, the way they pace things here, it seems like everything's happened pretty consecutively, right? Killua immediately gets the idea to call Miluki. They do a little bit of researching on the dark web to figure out what the game's about. All of this, I feel like it all happens in the same day, especially because Killua here, if you need some more evidence, Killua literally says that he's ordering the Joy Station to be delivered same day. So my point here is that it would make the most sense for Gon and Killua to have only just found out about Greed Island like a couple of days before making this bet at most. And given that the bet that they made for August 31st was only set for 1 week, that would mean that logically this whole Greed Island discovery, it probably happens sometime in mid to late August. Again, only about a week or two before the York New City arc begins. That means that from July 11th, the day after Gon and Hisoka's, big battle in Heaven's Arena, to whenever Aunt Mito gives Gon the Nen box with Jing's message in it, sometime in mid to late August, we have around 4 weeks of nothing major happening in the story. A whole month where the boys would just be chilling on Whale Island, presumably. That's where this game can happen. The boys would already know Nen, which is important for this game. The Kindan no Hihou is literally guarded by Nen. If Gon and Killua didn't know Nen, they wouldn't be able to sense it. And if this is supposed to happen like still a month before York New City, all the other hunters, even people like Kurapika and Hisoka, who, they obviously have their own agendas that they have to tend to, they should all be free to participate here. Actually, now that I'm thinking about it, with all these familiar faces from the Hunter exam earlier on in the year, and after what we find out about the exam during Heaven's Arena, I would not be surprised if this whole game just turned out to be another secret exam, right? The final secret exam. After they all went out and learned Nen on their own, it's like, cool, you learned it, but now we have to test your aptitude at using it, right? That Killua is here for, I don't know, you could just give him credits for next year, even though he didn't pass. Again, the whole point of this game, across all the different perspectives, everybody at the end of it kind of comes to the conclusion that, it will probably just be best to not mess with the treasure. And I feel like that's what the test was. The only problem still remaining that I've yet to explain is why Gon is alone at the start of this game. All you had to do was just pick Killua in the cutscene, man. Why? Why is Killua not in the cutscene? It's okay. We still have 4 whole weeks to mess around with here. So I'm thinking, what if Killua went back home for a little bit? Maybe he forgot something. He forgot his Spider-Man underwear. You know what I'm saying? He is a 12-year-old boy. Or actually, no. Better yet, because trauma. Maybe Killua just, steps out, takes a walk. Killua takes a walk to enjoy his surroundings, not having to be, tortured every day by his family or be an assassin. Gon is somewhere catching up on homework, because that's canon. Because Killua was bored, he takes a walk outside, wanders off a little too far, he gets drugged, and he gets brought to this island. Gon then goes out looking for him. That's when he can run into the sailor guy from chapter 1. And then this grown man can take this young 12-year-old boy to a remote island. Well, now that you put it that way, it kind of sounds like This one is a little bit easier because Gon and Killua aren't even the main characters of this game. Nope, instead, we, as some brand new original character, we have to help Gon and Killua escape this artificial fake version of Greed Island that they've been trapped inside. There's even less information out there about this game than the first one. I don't even know who the main antagonist is supposed to be. So yeah, the head canon will be pretty strong with this one. But as we all know about me, I have never said anything that was divisive or controversial, and I'm always completely accurate. It's honestly taken everything in me to not just call this a dream. What if this whole game is just a prank by Jing? Just pure Jing shenanigans. I mean, Jing does care more about fostering Gon's strength and stress testing his resolve rather than actually making sure he builds a relationship with his son. We know Nen can do all sorts of weird things, right? Gon played Greed Island using an already existing save file, preloaded with a bunch of things on it, purposefully left behind by Jing, specifically for Gon. Prime example, the message at the very beginning of the game that only Gon was privy to while entering the world, despite everyone that has ever played the game having to pass through the same entrance zone. Only Gon got this special Easter egg, right? We still don't really know anything about what Jing is capable of, but we do know he's one of the most powerful Nen users in the world, confirmed by Chairman Netero himself. But even besides that, I mean, this is his game, so theoretically he should be able to do whatever he wants. So yeah, this is all just a prank by Jing, who created this false world, this false, call it like a DLC map or like a demo map. You remember back in the day when you used to have those games that, you get a special version that comes with the demo version of the game. You could also play that as well. Something like that. Yeah, so Jing made that, and then he left that onto the memory card that he left for Gon. It's kind of like one final test before the game begins. Like, are you ready? Are you sure? I don't know if you're ready. If you can't beat the fake world, I don't know if you know what I'm saying? As for the character that we play as in this game, I think you can choose, I think there's like 4 types of characters you can play as. I'm not really sure, but I think that regardless of what's going on here, we could just say that these people are, the game masters of Greed Island that we never see. There's supposed to be 11 of them that all helped Jing create Greed Island. But of course, we only ever see Jing himself, Razor, Etta, Elena, Dune, and List. We still do not know who represents the other letter. An S, an A, an N, and the second D in Greed Island that we never see these people in the story. So yeah, the characters that we play as here, they could simply be one of those letters. As for the plausibility of all of this actually happening in just a couple of minutes that it took for Gon and everybody else to enter Greed Island, this game is quite the meaty adventure, definitely longer than 10 minutes. I wasn't able to find any examples of people literally manipulating time in the story, like on some Zomorgo type. But there are plenty of examples of a person's sense of time being manipulated, so I think I'm gonna work off that. Again, we still have no idea what Jing's official Nen type is. It's definitely given specialist. It's definitely like, it's some absolutely broken shit. Based on what happened with the whole Leorio situation, him being able to copy his ability is definitely given some sort of copy, Yuta. Ultimately, what I'm getting at here is that I think whether it's an ability that he learned from somebody else, or if this is just one of his own abilities that he developed himself, this whole fake Greed Island situation, I feel like it just takes place in some sort of pocket dimension with his own flow of time that seems to last a while in this game. But in Gon's head, it was really just a 5-second blip while he was being transported to Eda's reception desk. So basically a genjutsu. So not really a dream, but also kinda. I'm such a rat. I'm such a rat. So once again, we are relying on the golden 4-week grace period here for this game. In fact, this game already makes a whole lot more sense than Kindan no Hihou, because Killua and Gon, they're already together. As you fight in this game, every character has access to these finisher style attacks. It's really just kind of like a basic Nen attack. It's like a powered up punch or a supercharged kick essentially just the most basic application of Ren that you could use, right? It's not really anything special, but it is important to the topic of this video because Gon and Killua can use these moves, which means that they know how to use Nen in this game, which also tells us that this game would have to happen before Greed Island because that arc is where Gon develops the Jajan Ken, which obviously he will be able to use in this game as a special attack. We get a bunch of familiar faces once again showing up in this game, just like in Kindan no Hihou. But again, this should all be fine because it takes place over the summer, at least a month before York New. Everyone should be available for this and still be able to do their own stuff on the side. You know, I'm thinking about Kurapika when he went to go sign up to be a bodyguard, right? He could still have time to do that. However, now we have a new problem. The new problem is that if Gon, Killua, Kurapika, and Leorio were doing all of this stuff together during the summer, this plus Kindan no Hihou, then why was their reunion in York New such a big deal? Let me explain. Like I talked about previously with Kindan no Hihou, that game takes place at the beginning of that 4-week break in the summer. Same goes with this game, which if this takes place at the beginning of the summer break, I believe should still give them enough time away from each other to feel the need to catch up. To my knowledge, Leorio never sees Gon or Killua use Nen in this game. Or at least it's never an explicit story moment, right? Again, to my knowledge, I am not Japanese. Unless you choose him as a party member for a mission, I guess, and he sees them fighting on a battlefield. But I feel like stuff like this is obviously just rudimentary RPG game mechanics. Whoever you choose as supporting characters in this game does not really matter for the overall story. So, quick recap, let me just wrangle this all together for you. The Hunter exams take place around 6 months before York New City, which means that would be somewhere around like February, March at the beginning of the year. A couple of days after that, after rescuing Killua from his house, Gon and Killua, they go to Heaven's Arena where they stay at for another couple of months until July 10th. That's the date of the big Gon and Hisoka confrontation. Immediately after that, that's when Gon brings Killua back to his house on Whale Island. They hang out for the entire summer until they head to York New on September 1st. At some point during the summer, Mito gives Gon the box with Jing's message in it about Greed Island. But again, like I said earlier on in the video, this is all implied to happen towards the end of the break because it immediately leads to the bet that Gon and Killua made, and that was for August 31st. So if you factor in all of that, including this game and you know, the whole situation with the Kindan no Hihou at the very beginning of the break, like not too long after Gon and Killua arrive at Whale Island, that should leave a gap of about 3 weeks. 3 weeks where Gon and Killua do not see Leorio or Kurapika. Now, let me ask you this. If it was the first time you've talked to your homie in a month with no contact, y'all would probably have some sort of catching up to do, am I right? Especially if you're hunters. Especially if you're both hunters. And the last time y'all saw each other was, you know, when you were both coincidentally assigned to a sudden emergency mission at the beginning of the summer that didn't really leave you with any time to chop it up over what you've been doing since, you know, we took the exams a couple of months ago. Again, I feel like Leorio never even saw Gon or Killua fight in this game. I don't think Leorio ever even left the blimp in this game, canonically. You know, unless you the player, force him down into the battlefield. He's kind of like the Usopp of Hunter x Hunter. Like he never really wants to fight. Bro's canonical role in this mission for sure was logistics and strategy and medical stuff. I guess he is a doctor, in case you forgot. I forgot. When's the last time we saw Leorio heal somebody? This could theoretically happen at any point in the story. It's a pretty basic mission where the Hunter Association is helping out this island's people, saving them from eradication after having their sacred treasure, another sacred treasure, stolen by the Phantom Troop. And again, this is another one of those games where the main character is completely original. It's also another one of those team-based RPG games, though, where we can choose any hunter we want to come on these missions with us. Gon and Killua are in this game, but only as support characters, and only if you choose them to be, really. Like, there's a whole bunch of other people you could choose. Speaking of the selection of hunters we have to choose from here, I know I said that this could theoretically happen at any point in the story, but realistically, it would have to happen before the Chimera Ant arc. Just because Netero is in this game, he's definitely still the active chairman of the Hunter Association in this game. He's actually kind of more like the main protagonist. He's the one that helps the main character save his island. But more importantly, because Ponzu is in this game, and we know what happens to Ponzu in the Chimera Ant arc. Right, so as for who canonically works on this mission, because even though we have a bunch of hunters here, not everybody can be involved. First of all, this was a pretty small scale situation. This wasn't like a full-blown war or anything like that. Well, that's for you to decide. Now I feel like I'm just plugging marketing for the game at this point. If you haven't figured it out by now, this is another game, another one taking place during that 4-week summer break. But, you know, Gon and Killua, they don't necessarily have to be the ones on this mission. In fact, I don't think they were. This could have easily been a mission for Leorio or Kurapika because the Phantom Troop is behind this. That would make the most sense. Or it could be Menchi. You know, Menchi's in this game. I always wanted to see more from Menchi. But you know, ultimately, again, whoever you choose, it has no bearing on the outcome of the story. This is really all about the original main character that we play as here. Last but not least, we have a mobile game released in 2018 that's actually in English, thank the Lord, where the story seems to be some sort of sequel to Greed Island. I mean, it's literally called Greed Island 2. In this game, and is the same exact game pretty much, but except with a few new bells and whistles, right? So pretty much every Call of Duty release for the past 10 years. Officially endorsed by the Hunter Association this time, and was all Pariston's idea, because Jing, I guess. Seeing as how this game explicitly takes place after Greed Island, that would mean that it would have to happen at some point during the Chimera Ant arc because, you know, Gon's in this game. He can still use Nen in this game. We all know what happens to Gon during the Chimera Ant arc. Fortunately, though, the Chimera Ant arc, it takes a long fucking time. We know at least a month goes by while Gon and Killua are trying to get the shogi pieces from Knuckle and Shoot. And then after they fail to do that, Gon then has to go 30 days without using Nen. That's like 2 whole months before we even get to the invasion. Obviously, this has to happen before Gon loses his Nen for 30 days, but that should still give us around a month to work with here. Around this time, Gon should still be in his right mind, right? Because he hasn't yet come to terms with what happened to Kite. This is where he and Killua spent most of their time training with Biscuit again, and then they challenge Knuckle every night for the shogi piece, and then they lose, and then they go back and do it again the next day. Yeah, so one day, instead of doing the usual Ren training and then fighting Knuckle, Pariston, because he's bored and wasn't chosen for the NGL mission because he sucks, whimsically decides to hijack Jing's invention and decides to test this latest and greatest way to undermine him by pulling Gon and Killua to the side for a couple of days to check out the new and improved Greed Island, which we just never see on screen in the show because around this time we were doing a lot of skipping around, montage stuff, cutting back to what all the other hunters were doing as well and what the ants were doing in preparation for the birth of the king. You know, I'm not sure how long this game is meant to last in universe. It could be weeks. Honestly, at this point in the video, I am perfectly okay with just chalking this up to, let's just say, one of the new updates to the game could be this fancy new Nen barrier meant to keep outsiders from accessing the island, right? Based off of what happened last time with the Phantom Troop. And that one of the features of this new Nen barrier also alters the participants' sense of time. Just for the sake of convenience. Like, there's a whole ant infestation going on right now. Nobody has the time to be spending weeks on a remote island in real time. Pariston most definitely added some of his Nen to this version of the game. And even though we also don't know what type of Nen user he is, I mean, just look at him, bro. I don't think I've ever seen someone that looks so much like a manipulator in my life. As for how all these familiar characters show up in this game, I mean, that's clearly because of the new AI system that Pariston has been constantly bragging about in this game. Yeah, you know, Killua could be an AI. Even Gon himself could just be an NPC. Right, actually, that probably makes, forget the Nen barrier. This is all actually just a beta test of the game before it's being released, being ran by Pariston all on his own time, not involving anybody else from the real world, and most likely is all generated using data from the Hunter Association registry without anybody else's consent because, I mean, look at Pariston. He's a creep. Leave a like, man. Let me know what else you want me to do next. There's a couple movies I could talk about. Let me know what other series you want me to do. Let me know how wrong I was, how inaccurate. Let me know what I missed. I tried to comb over everything as much as I could. Again, I don't know Japanese that well, so there might have been a couple things that went over my head, or I just am completely unaware of because these games are like all lost media at this point. Other than that, man, my voice is destroyed. I kind of recorded all of this in one go this time. Not the best idea. Look out for the next video. That's all I really got, man. Until next time.
If it's me, I apologize. I'm just high, so sometimes I'll just emphasize. I'm just shy, so I really need to emphasize. After this performance, check my vitals, make sure that I'm still alive, 'cause I give it all.